You bring a dog home expecting love to happen instantly, but instead of a wagging tail and eager eyes, you get distance. Maybe it avoids your touch. Maybe it watches you from across the room like you're a stranger it hasn't decided about yet. And that's the part no one really prepares you for. We grow up believing that dogs are naturally affectionate, that they're wired to bond with us the moment we offer food, shelter, and kindness. It feels like love should be automatic. But for many dogs, especially those newly adopted, that assumption quietly falls apart. Because from a psychological perspective, a dog doesn't measure you by your intentions. It measures you by safety, consistency, and predictability. You are not yet home to them. You are simply a new variable in an unfamiliar environment. What feels like rejection is often something deeper: uncertainty. Their brain is scanning, observing, trying to answer one silent question: are you safe? And until that question is answered over time, not words, not treats, not even good intentions can force what we call love. Because for a dog, trust isn't given. It's built, slowly, through proof. And if you pay close enough attention, the answer is already there, just not in the way you expect. Because dogs don't reject you with words. They do it quietly, through body language most people completely miss. Take the tail, for example. We've been taught that a wagging tail means happiness, but that's not always true. A slow, hesitant wag can signal uncertainty, even discomfort. Some studies suggest that when a dog's tail leans more to the left, it's often linked to stress or suspicion, especially around someone they don't fully trust. Then there's the eyes, or more precisely, the absence of them. When a dog avoids looking at you, turns its head away, or subtly steps back, it's not being stubborn or distant. It's choosing peace. In the animal world, direct eye contact can feel like pressure, even a threat. So instead of confronting, they disengage. What looks like indifference is often a carefully calculated response. Stay safe, avoid conflict, don't escalate. In other words, your dog isn't ignoring you. It's communicating the only way it knows how: softly, cautiously, hoping you understand without forcing it to speak louder. And sometimes, the message becomes even clearer, not in what your dog does, but in how far it chooses to stay from you. Because for a dog, distance is never random. It's a boundary. In the wild, wolves and free-roaming dogs sleep pressed close together, but only with those they trust completely. That closeness means safety. It means if something happens, we face it together. So when your dog chooses not to sleep near you, when it prefers another room, another corner, it's not independence, it's information. Its nervous system is saying, I'm not safe enough here to fully let go. And you see it again in how they rest. A relaxed dog will sprawl out, expose its belly, soften its muscles, revealing the most vulnerable parts of its body without hesitation. But a dog that never fully settles, that stays curled, alert, ready to move at the slightest sound, is still guarding itself, even in your presence. Then there's the quietest signal of all: disappearance. No barking, no destruction. Just absence. You walk into the room, and they leave. Again and again. Not dramatic, not obvious, but deeply intentional. This isn't stubbornness. It's a survival strategy. When fight feels too risky and connection feels unsafe, the only option left is distance. And in that distance, your dog is telling you something important. I don't trust this space yet, and I don't fully trust you in it. And then it shows up in something even more subtle: how your dog chooses to engage with you when there's something in it for them. Because on the surface, it might look like everything is fine. They eat the food you give them, they take what they need, but what happens after that moment matters more than the moment itself. A dog that feels connected will linger. It will come closer, seek contact, stay near you, as if the interaction didn't end with the meal. But a dog that walks away immediately, without a glance back, is telling a different story. To them, you're not part of their social world yet. You're just the source of the resource. And it goes deeper. Food is one of the strongest motivators in a dog's brain. Survival depends on it. So when a dog refuses a treat from your hand, that's not pickiness, that's priority. Something inside them, fear, discomfort, uncertainty, is louder than hunger, and in the hierarchy of instinct, safety always comes first. You'll notice it again in what they don't share. Dogs are naturally possessive. Their toys, their chews, their little treasures matter to them. When a dog brings you something it values, it's not random, it's trust in physical form. But if that never happens, if everything stays guarded and separate, the bond hasn't reached that level yet. Even training reveals the same pattern. Commands aren't just about obedience, they're about connection. Studies suggest dogs filter information based on relevance. If they don't trust the source, they simply tune it out. So when your dog ignores you, it's not always defiance. Sometimes it's a quiet decision. You haven't earned the right to guide me yet. And eventually, if nothing changes, the message stops being subtle. Because when a dog feels its boundaries are repeatedly crossed, it doesn't just withdraw, it responds. And sometimes, that response can be hard to watch. You might notice your dog light up around someone else in the house, following them, leaning into their touch, seeking them out while doing the exact opposite with you, avoiding, walking away, shutting down the moment you step in. And that contrast, as uncomfortable as it is clarity. The difference isn't the dog, it's the relationship. It becomes even more obvious through touch. Physical contact, when trust exists, releases tension and deepens connection. But when that trust is missing, the same touch feels intrusive. A slight flinch, a body pulling back, muscles tightening under your hand. These are not small reactions. They're signals that the communication between you has broken at the most basic level, the sense of safety. And then there are the sounds people often misunderstand. A low growl, a flash of teeth. It's easy to label it as aggression, but in reality it's something else entirely. A final warning. A line drawn clearly in the sand. Because dogs don't start with confrontation. They escalate to it only when every quieter signal has been ignored. And in that moment, what they're really saying is simple: I tried to tell you gently, now I need you to listen. And before you assume this is all about trust, there's one possibility you should never ignore. Because sometimes, the distance isn't emotional, it's physical. Dogs are incredibly good at hiding pain. What looks like withdrawal, avoidance, or sudden disinterest could be something much quieter: discomfort, injury, or illness. If a dog that once felt safe around you begins to change overnight, don't analyze it first, check it. A veterinarian should always be your first step, not your last. But if health isn't the issue, then the answer becomes both simpler and harder to accept. You have to stop trying to be loved on your timeline. Because for a dog, especially one that carries past trauma, trust isn't rebuilt through pressure. It's rebuilt through consistency, through space, through small, repeated moments where nothing bad happens. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and slowly, almost invisibly, their nervous system begins to soften. This is the part most people underestimate. Love for a dog is not something you give, it's something they decide is safe to return. So, instead of asking, why doesn't my dog love me, try asking, what can I do to make them feel safe enough to choose me? And if you've ever had to earn a dog's trust back, you already know it's not quick, but it's one of the most honest forms of love you'll ever experience. Share your story in the comments.